Welcome to the spirit world, answering your questions on angels, demons, and how the spiritual and physical worlds interact. And now your hosts, Debbie Georgianni and Adam Bly.
Well, hello there, and welcome to the spirit world. I am Debbie Georgianni with religious demonologist and co-host Adam Bly, and you today. This is our first open forum of 2025 here at the spirit world, and we look forward to your calls all about the boot camp challenge that we issued a couple weeks ago, and Adam and I are super excited to just hear your beautiful voice for this new year and to answer some of the questions. Maybe you want to suggest some topics for the spirit world. Whatever you want to do, you are part of the family. So please consider calling in. But Adam, we always begin every broadcast with the St. Michael prayer.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Wow. Can you believe it, Adam? 2025. We made it. New year. Very exciting. I know. And it's our open forum. And so we want our listeners to please call in. We are being produced by Guadalupe Radio Network and heard all over the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network all over the world, you guys. So start calling in right now. We don't have, this is our open forum, so we don't have anything prepared by way of a teaching on the faith, okay? So we're just going to recap a few things that we talked about with the boot camp challenge and the Epiphany blessing, and then we're going to go right to the call. So if you want to ask anything about angels, demons, anything in between, this is your show, The Spirit World. Please consider calling. We have our call screeners in place. Libby is ready to answer the calls. So is Carol. And actually, we have an expanded show team today because our senior producer, Tim Mott, has his whole family in the studio. So thank you, Justin and Lucy and Rachel. You guys are awesome watching out for the spirit world. So the number to dial is 877-757-9424. Okay, one more time. 877-757-9424. Adam, got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
The Epiphany blessing.
Yeah.
You gave us the recommended blessing. We have now put it on social media. You would not believe how many people have circulated that blessing. Thank you so much. Could you share with us where you got it? It's so powerful, and a little bit about what we should all do this weekend.
Yeah, so this blessing, though it is an ancient blessing in the church that goes back centuries, I don't know how far back it goes. It goes back probably in some form to the very beginning of the church, but I'm not sure, to be honest. It has been around a long time. It takes slightly different forms in different countries, and even sometimes parish to parish. But the white chalk writing, the four crosses, the initials of the three wise men, CMB, and the year is always the same. Now, that version I got from an exorcist friend almost 20 years ago. That version came down through the Benedictine order here in the States, and that was the version that he used. And he was, one of my first great friends in this ministry, and we worked on, it was one big case. We worked on a case very hard together for years. And I found a lot of efficacy with that one. And so that's the one that I put in the pastoral manual that I put together for exorcists, because as far as I could find in my research, there is no one official version of it. There is an official version of the blessing for the chalk, but the blessing for the threshold, there isn't one official. So that's just the version that I've always used, and it's been in circulation in the Exorcist Pastoral Manual for many years, and so I know it's in use. I don't even know how far and wide it's gone at this point.
Well, thank you so much, because we really appreciate it. It's on Facebook at the Spirit World Podcast. And so Tim Mott, our producer, posted it there. And it's also, I believe it's on my personal Facebook page, Debbie Georgiani. And I believe it's on Jerry and Debbie Facebook page. So if you're a Take Two listener from EWTN, please pick it up there. But this is the weekend with the blessed chalk, the prayer blessing. And wow, what a spiritual game changer that Epiphany blessing is. And we shared on previous broadcasts about the responses we have received, and also some of the things we've noticed with that blessing. So please, folks, take it seriously this weekend. But Adam, this is our open forum, and we really appreciate our listeners, the Spirit World listeners, to call in with their questions, comments, anything about the boot camp challenge that we issued last year. Can you believe it? Yeah, I can't believe I just said that. Last year, it was last year. A couple of weeks ago, last year, 2024, not 2023, 2024. A couple of weeks ago, we issued that was hilarious, boot camp challenge. And we're here the first week in January, and already folks are getting a little discouraged because some of the things they wanted to do, they haven't been able to fully enter into that and be committed to it. But as St. Teresa of Avila, or St. Teresa of Avila, that some say in French, begin again. Begin anew. This is the time. So if you have something to ask, share, or maybe you already had a spiritual blessing, please call in. We've got a special treat today, Adam, and maybe you want to explain to our Spirit World listeners why it's a little bit changed, the format today. Tim Mott, our producer, is going to bring on the callers on air with us, and I hope you can hear me clearly, because I'm doing everything committed to my memory here, because, as you know, Adam, I'm approaching eye surgery on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a real blessing. So for everybody, if you could pray for Deb on Tuesday for a very successful eye surgery. She's having the first of two surgeries, so they do one eye and then the other. We are very hopeful that it'll be super successful, and that will be in the morning on Tuesday, Arizona time. So any prayers are appreciated.
Oh yeah. I'm counting on prayers, and I thank you, Adam. You sent St. Lucy first class relic of St. Lucy to me on loan. She's been with me. I put her in a Ziploc bag, and I'm going to try to carry her to surgery. I hope and pray they allow me to keep her with me. I don't know if they'll allow you to do that, because I think you have to have the surgical center very sterile or something like that.
I don't know. You could ask.
Yeah, I'm going to ask, definitely. But so what do you say? Let me give the number again for this open forum. I think this is going to be an exciting hour, very quick hour. We want to make sure we get as many calls in as possible. So the number again is 877-757-9424. 877-757-9424. If you have something to ask, a comment, a question, we'd love to hear from you. What do you say, Adam?
Well, and the other thing is, I'm such a Luddite. I don't do much with social media, right? But a lot of people do, and that is the way the world works. And we've got a lot of wonderful listeners. They're listening any place that you can subscribe to podcasts. They're on Facebook, they're on YouTube, they're on Instagram, they're on Rumble, they're on X, they're on TikTok, they're everywhere. And you can post questions there, so you don't have to call in if you're listening, in such a way, or maybe you're not comfortable. You can post a question there. Tim is trying to keep an eye on all those chats. So that's another way that you could pass things on to us. You can also email us at tsw@grnonline.com.
Nice. Very nice. We do have a very active community with the Spirit World. You guys look forward to this broadcast each and every Saturday, and we appreciate that. Adam and I, we are determined and committed to go live as many weekends as we possibly can in 2025. That's why you heard us doing live shows through Christmas and New Year's. We did that on purpose, actually, and we're trying to do more of that, because no disrespect to all the other hardworking hosts in ministry that need to take time off with their families. But Adam and I, we work in the life coaching world, and our ministry is Stand Tall, and you can find us at standtalltoday.com. And we just believe there's a lot of loneliness. People are feeling the high fear and anxiety, and we just wanted to be with you live. Wouldn't you say, Adam?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's best to be live as often as possible.
Mm-hmm.
You just never know. There's a lot of providence in this show, and I think in all of Catholic media there's a lot of providence, and so you never know how God's going to use it on a given day.
Right.
So it's good to be there.
So what do you say we go to our first caller?
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Okay, Tim, who do we have with us?
Our first caller is going to be Michelle from Grand Rapids, Michigan, listening on Sirius XM Radio.
Hi, Michelle. Welcome to the Spirit World. You're our first caller for the Open Forum of 2025.
That's very exciting.
Thank you.
Very
Go right ahead. Yes.
Okay, so just to give you some background information before I ask my question, I live in a house that was built in 1925. I've been there for about 38 years. Still has the steam radiator heat in it. Okay, so about 4 owners back, a woman committed suicide in my garage. And she was Catholic, her family was Catholic, and they went actually to the same church that I go to. In fact, the people at church are well aware of who she is and her name and everything. And, of course, I'm a practicing Catholic. So it seems like anything that I do to the house, any changes, like replace the roof, I have constant trouble with the contractors. I get, people who have 5 stars who highly recommend it. It's not necessarily changes that I do, but there's some kind of difficulty. I could go through so many things in my home that I just have roadblocks all the time. It's like, this should not be so hard. Every time I do something, and I feel like it's whatever's going on is inside of me also. I'm a special ed teacher, and I'm in my 60s, so I'm well educated. But it seems like things that I do with technology or trying to get a different job, I come up with all these struggles, and just out of the norm. So I did go to the library, and I did some research on previous owners and stuff like that. I did go to my church and talk to the priest about blessing my home. And he's like, well, I don't believe in ghosts. You probably just left the cupboard door open. Well, it's nothing like that. But he did come out and bless my house. And wouldn't you know, the same day he was there, the same day some guy ripped me off lots of money, and I tried to, anyways, took it to the courts and all this stuff. So I don't know if there's anything else I could do. I started saging myself every morning. I've called Native American groups, the Ottawa Native American tribes, to see if someone can come over, but I haven't heard anything from anybody.
Michelle,
I just feel like there's some kind of
right.
negative energy.
Okay, Michelle, let me let Adam comment, and then I have a couple comments. But you just said something there that, and I'm sure, Adam, you paid attention to that as well. You said about saging and reaching out to the Native Americans. Why did you do that? What was the connection there?
Well, I have a friend that had, she said some woman who died in her house. She kept on seeing this woman. This was like 25 years ago.
Sure.
And
okay.
she was able to reach someone through the Ottawa tribe.
Yeah.
And she still sages, but I don't know what else to do.
That's super problematic. That's super dangerous. I'll let Adam comment on that. So you don't you want to get that out of your house and remove that from your mind immediately. I think that's an area that you don't want to travel down. Adam?
Yeah. So Michelle, great call in the sense that this touches on like at least 2 or 3 really important things that apply to lots of people out there, because we run into things like this all the time. It's a real common experience. So first off, on the spiritual, when there's been a suicide or a murder in a house, sometimes there is a lingering spiritual problem there. And I have seen with suicides a need for praying for the dead in that location, and I've seen just the prayers for the dead alone. Of course, the houses are blessed, but just that, prayers for the dead, everything resolves permanently, one visit, no more problems. So that can happen when there's been a murder or a suicide. There can be a poor soul petitioning for prayer, or just that heavy sense of like a wet blanket of depression over you every time you're usually in the space where they actually did the suicide. I've seen that a number of times. Now, you can also end up with a demonic problem in the sense that some demon had a great victory by encouraging somebody to suicide, and then that sin happened. And where they have these great victories, they tend to linger. Now, a house blessing doesn't necessarily remove them because they have to be told to leave. It makes it uncomfortable for them. Think of it like, I don't know, turning the heat up really high, and it's uncomfortable, but it doesn't force them to leave. So you need that authoritative command to leave if there is a lingering demonic problem from that suicide. Now, one of the ways you can tell that that's going on is, and you got to be careful with this because it can be psychological, but you will see that the current generation living there will have thoughts of the same type of suicide with themselves. But again, you have to be really careful. That can be psychological because you're just kind of freaked out by the fact that somebody did that in this space that you're living in. Okay. Now, a big thing that we see all the time is all this stuff is going wrong in my life, or I'm older and I've struggled my whole life with, misfortune. And is it a curse? Is it necessarily spiritual? And of course, sometimes in life it is. And to some extent, there's always a spiritual layer to everything in life. However, we don't want to jump to the conclusion that things are spiritual just because things keep going wrong. Sometimes that's just life. Okay. So what do? When in doubt, you do what you did in terms of the priest. Bless the house, say a rosary for the dead, maybe once a week or, every day. That's fine.
Stop the saging, the native. I wouldn't go there.
Right. That's why I'm saying the part you did with the priest is fine. When you do syncretism, which is mixing folk religion or other religions with Catholicism, that leads to problems. So the reason that is, Michelle, it really is a First Commandment violation. You're telling God, I'm not going to rely and trust in you and your church. I'm going to rely on burning this plant. And you're putting your faith and your hope in the burning of a plant instead of the grace of God. And the other reason that can be problematic is a lot of the shops that sell sage, either online or in person, the owners are participating in pagan religions, often Wicca or some form of witchcraft, and they will pray over those with their rituals before they sell them to the public. And so what it does is it introduces more problems usually.
Right.
Now, those people, they have good intent. They're thinking they're doing good. And in most cases, they think they're doing good. But we got to be careful about bringing things in from other religions and using them because we don't know what's been done to them before they were sold to us.
And Adam, let me just jump in. Real quickly, Michelle. So would you say that it's possible that Michelle, having the house blessed, did everything right by the Catholic, and Michelle said, if I heard her correctly, that the lady that died by suicide was Catholic, right? So take that into consideration.
She committed suicide in the garage.
Okay, so
building.
Right. So she's a Catholic. So that, and when you introduce another belief system, Native American, any type of rituals or stuff like that, maybe that's what added that layer of disturbances where Michelle said, she got ripped off by this person and this and that. Those things are layer upon layer of problems. So maybe remove that saging, remove those rituals, remove those out of the way. But Adam, one other thing I just want to say, because this happened to a friend of mine, a priest friend who has since gone to meet the Lord. He was a wonderful, holy priest. He moved into a rectory, Michelle, one time, and the prior pastor before him died by suicide. And what you described was so similar to what he would share with all of us. And Adam, he did exactly what you said. He prayed rosaries for that Catholic priest. He prayed rosaries for that priest on a repeated basis. He had masses, and it was I think it was the third or fourth mass that feeling was gone.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. So Michelle, you don't have to like, be real distressed. I would just get rid of the sage or any other new agey or pagan stuff that you brought in. Just throw it out. That's okay. And then your conscience wasn't informed. You didn't understand that this was actually in a roundabout way a First Commandment violation. You didn't know that. So now that your conscience is informed, if you want to take it to confession, that's fine, but you didn't understand the sin that you were committing. But if for your own peace of mind, you can take it to confession.
Okay.
And then, in terms of moving forward, I would just add some prayers for the dead for her. Now, if she was Catholic, that family probably had masses said for her if they were active Catholics. But you can go ahead and, pray for her, maybe have a few masses said for her.
Okay.
And then perhaps start praying to St. Joseph the Worker in terms of the work on the house, and that things go peacefully and well, and you find good people. Start bringing the heavenly figures, the saints, into the situation.
And bring the sacramentals into your house. Holy water, holy salt. Bring sacramentals into, St. Benedict medal, miraculous medal. Very, very powerful, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I've been taking notes the whole time.
Okay. And if you want to reach out to us, if you have any more questions, because we want you to be at peace. I mean, this is a new year. You need to be at peace in your home. You can email us. Adam, the email?
The email is tsw@grnonline.com.
Okay, Michelle. Thank you so much. Happy New Year to you. Thank you for being our first caller for this open forum, January 2025. That's right, you guys. So we're taking your calls. You hear that music. That means we're going to hit the pause button. We're going to reset and come back with some more of your calls about angels or demons or anything in between at 877-757-9424. 877-757-9424. This is your show, The Spirit World. So please call us.
This program is sponsored in part by Saint Candles. Founded by a music executive to comfort a friend diagnosed with a life-threatening illness, the Saint Candle collection has grown to more than 25 candles. Each modern candle is handmade with a prayer coin inside and dedicated to a patron saint. Saint Raphael for healing, Saint Philomena for children, Saint Anthony of Padua for finding love, and many more as well. To see which Saint Candles are available, visit saintcandles.com.
This is a Messy Family Minute with Mike and Alicia Hernan. If you're looking for a gift to give your spouse that's not fattening or expensive, listen in. This is one of the most precious things you have, but you can give it to them every day. Do you know what it is? Your time.
Do you have time every day where you and your spouse check in and connect together? If you don't, start brainstorming right now about when you could fit it in. Maybe when you both arrive home, you could take a few minutes to step in private just to ask how our day was. Maybe it's getting a few minutes earlier in the morning to make coffee together. It doesn't need to be long, but it does need to happen every day. If you and your spouse are ships passing in the night during a busy season of life, take at least 5 minutes alone to hug, talk, check in, and connect.
A successful marriage is made up of little things like this. Commit to having a daily connection with your spouse. It may turn out to be the most important gift you've ever given. To find out more about connecting with your spouse, visit us at messyfamilyminute.org.
The Spirit World continues with Debbie Georgianni and Adam Bly. If you have a question for the show, call 877-757-9424 or email tsw@grnonline.com.
Boy, you guys are really active today on the Spirit World. You are got the chats going. You're sending in messages. You're calling. So we're going to get back to the calls. And yes, we're not going to go to a third break. Just one more break, and then we'll just get all the calls on air with us for this open forum. Adam, I love how the Spirit World listeners, they just want us to keep going with the calls. And everybody's praying for Michelle and her house situation. So, Michelle, you got a lot of prayers around you. So you ready to go to more calls, Adam?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, Tim, who do we got next?
The next up is Sheila from Hilton Head, South Carolina, listening on the Guadalupe Radio Network app.
Good morning. Welcome to the Spirit World.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. My question is, for those of us who are not on Facebook, how can we obtain that prayer for the Epiphany blessing?
Okay, so this is where we're going to have to turn it over to Tim Mott, our producer. Tim, is there a way to post it at GRN Online?
There are many ways.
Okay.
So it's going to be in our show notes for the podcast, which is at our at grnonline.com. Look for the Spirit World there. But you can also just email us, tsw@grnonline.com, and I can send you the link that way.
Okay, thank you very much.
I told you he was a great producer, so go ahead. Do you have anything else you wanted to ask or share?
Well, thank you so much, because there is another question. You have mentioned so many times a particular book for those of us who want to know more about angels. And I think you've mentioned more than one, but there's one you've mentioned more often than the others.
Right. Okay. So there are two books that I really love on angels, and they also talk about demons. The first one is Joan Carol Cruz's book. Joan Carol Cruz, and her last name Cruz. She has gone on to meet the Lord. Wonderful author, amazing. She wrote the book Angels and Devils. Angels and Devils. 3/4 of it is angels. It's based around the Summa, St. Thomas Aquinas' Summa, and then 1/4 of it is about the demons. Now, if you want a lighter read and a really good, deep understanding of the truth of the angels, Peter Kreeft's book, and his last name is spelled Kreeft, but it's pronounced Kreeft. So Peter Kreeft, and it's Angels and Demons. It's a smaller book, but it's comical. He did a great job. I mean, amazing. Now I will tell you, my co-host Adam Bly is doing a very deep dive into the history of angels, and primarily leading with St. Michael. And Adam, would you like to talk about the book that you're finishing for Sophia?
Oh, well, yeah, it'll probably be out, I imagine, mid-year, maybe a little bit later. I'm not sure. It depends on Sophia Institute. But, yeah, I'm working hard at it. It's just kind of my take of looking at all of the church fathers, the history of the church, and of course going through every scriptural reference to angels and trying to unpack those. So there might be something helpful there. And the only, I think what I can bring to it that not everybody can, and I'm not picking on any other authors, of course, is just some significant direct experience with the fallen angels, and also seeing the holy angels intervene on certain cases. So
right.
There could be maybe some additional something useful there, but the two books Deb just gave you, they're awesome, and that would cover everything.
And what's the title of your book?
Well, it hasn't been titled yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Oh,
I'm
you're
very
welcome.
Inspired by your show. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. But Adam,
you.
you did say you're going to do a heavy emphasis on St. Michael. So that's important, because a lot of people are asking about more understanding of St. Michael. So there you go right there. I'm hoping Sophia picks a title that reflects that. So there you go. Sound good? We're all good.
Thank you very, very much. I'm just so honored and so happy. And thank you.
Oh, Happy New Year. Thank you. Thank you so very much for calling in.
Thank you.
Okay, call us again, definitely. So, Tim, where are we going next?
Next, we're going up to Richmond, Michigan. Anna is listening on Sirius XM Radio. Let's get her on the air.
Okay. Hi, Anna.
Hi. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You go right ahead.
I have a prayer request and a question about a sacramental. A few years ago, a prior pastor at the time of Epiphany had set aside time and asked parishioners to bring clean water, like spring water or distilled water, to church, however much they wanted. And he performed a blessing rendering the water what Epiphany water. And it was different than the type of water you would get to bless yourself as you are entering or exiting the church or for baptism. And I was asking if you could speak to that. To be very frank, it's been several years. I still have some of the water at home. I absolutely have forgotten all the instruction given behind that.
Yeah. Okay, so first off, Anna, there's kind of two ways to look at holy water. The first and most important is sacramentals, which is all the blessed objects, the metals, holy images that are blessed, all of that. They are there to prepare us for the sacraments. That's theologically what they're there for. So they move us towards and they remind us and they empower us to participate in the sacraments. And the efficacy of them, how effective they are, it's more about your faith when you use it than it is about the version of the blessing that's done over it. So that's the first way to look at it. The second way to look at it is I have seen a slight difference in terms of in the context of full-blown exorcisms where you have a demon there in a body in a chair and you can see the reaction of these things, that when water has been blessed and specifically in that blessing, it asks God to give it the property that it be a weapon against the enemy. There's a lot of language in there, like, a scourge against the enemy and all of that. That seems to, God, words matter. If they didn't matter, our sacraments wouldn't have very specific language in them, right? So words do matter to God. There is, in terms of spiritual warfare, I think an argument could be made that having the language in there that calls for those properties is a good thing. Now, the most important thing, Anna, is we need to be obedient to where the church is at with the way she calls for the blessing of things. So, the real answer, because this is a global show, is just approach your priest, your pastor, and ask, how do we do this in our diocese? What blessings for the water are available here, given our bishop and given the universal church law? What can we do? And if they say, we're going to do the Epiphany blessing, which is kind of an older blessing that has that kind of combative language in it, we're going to do that. Or if they say, no, we just do a basic blessing, be obedient to that. And don't be anxious and think that it's lesser, because that first point is very important, that when we use things, we're saying to God, God, I love you, I trust you, I thank you for the grace that you've given me through this sacramental you gave me through your church, and I love you for it. Thank you, and I'm using this now to sanctify my home or something around me. That's the important thing. So we don't want to get hung up on, it has to be this special water with the salt in it in the old version, or it's nothing.
And don't feel like it's inadequate, because if you saw the priest do a quick blessing, that doesn't mean it's ineffective, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Again, it goes back to, when you're using it, it's that relationship with Jesus is the most important part of it.
Your faith, right?
Your faith,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The faith with which it is used determines the efficacy.
Does that help?
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I needed, a better explanation. And before I leave, I ask for a prayer request. One of my children, a married child with children, my and my husband's grandchildren, and his spouse, his wife, have completely separated themselves from all of us with no explanation whatsoever. various siblings have reached out to our son, and either no response or we've just been cut off from them socially, including social media, including telephone, being blocked. Very strange. There is no explanation whatsoever.
Well, real quickly, it's not exactly strange. It's actually happening all over the place. We're seeing it with our life coaching ministry. We're getting calls on a weekly basis, exactly what you described. So there's something happening with people. Yeah. But real quickly, I just want to share this for you and everybody else that's listening. Lady Undoer of Knots. Lady Undoer of Knots, the novena to Our Lady. Go to our spiritual mother. Definitely go. Lady Undoer of Knots Rosary. I can't say it enough. Please pray and also add some fasting. It doesn't have to be fasting from food, but add prayer and fasting to see some forward movement in a positive direction for healing in your family. But go ahead, Anna, real quick, because we're going to get ready for the break. Go ahead.
I just want to thank you very much and wish everyone listening a blessed, peaceful New Year.
You got it. Absolutely.
Thank you,
yes. Happy New Year. And we wish everyone a happy New Year. And what we mean by that, Adam, when you agree, we talk about this all the time. We want everyone to be at peace and be confident in their spiritual life and to focus on Jesus, not all of this negative things around us, because if we focus on that, it's going to get bigger, right? We've got to focus on Jesus. What do you say, Adam, real quick?
Yeah, absolutely, Deb. To turn our eyes away from Christ and start getting negative and bitter, that's the enemy. So we want to be positive and hopeful and move towards God.
Right. That's why we're all going to have a great New Year, you guys. That's why we're traveling together on the Spirit World. Okay. This is our final break. We're going to go back to the calls as soon as we come back. Just stay with us. Stick with us. Share this broadcast far and wide. We believe that's a good use of social media, and we'll be right back.
This is Dale Ahlquist with a Chesterton Christmas Minute. G.K. Chesterton says, all comfort must be based on discomfort. What's that supposed to mean? It has something to do with the fact that we celebrate Christmas in December. It is the feast in the middle of winter. We are choosing to be joyful at the very moment when the whole material world around us is most sad. We are defying cold death outside by celebrating life inside. And that's why there's nothing more comfortable than a blazing fire in the middle of a blizzard, and why we bring a green tree inside and decorate it and talk of good cheer in the face of darkness and death. Tidings of comfort and joy. Because all comfort is based on discomfort. Want more than a minute? Visit us at chesterton.org.
Want some more joy in your life? Need some more peace in your day? Want to wake up each morning excited about life in a whole new way? Life coaching may be just what you need. We have a team of dedicated coaches willing to assist you in creating a plan for a better future with God as the focus. Jesus said, I came for you to have life and have it to the full. So begin today with that abundant life. Visit us at standtalltoday.com.
The Spirit World continues with Debbie Georgianni and Adam Bly. If you have a question for the show, call 877-757-9424 or email tsw@grnonline.com.
Okay, back to the calls we shall go here on the first open forum of 2025 here on the Spirit World. We're loving your calls, loving your comments. Thank you so much for just the kind mentions and prayers about the surgery coming up. I appreciate it so very, very much. And also, Happy New Year to all of the Spirit World listeners and supporters all around the world, actually through the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Adam, ready to go back to the phones?
Absolutely.
Okay, Tim, who do we have next?
Our next caller is from New York, watching on Rumble and YouTube, Fran.
Hi, Fran. Happy New Year.
Hi, thank you. Happy New Year to you also, both of you.
Thank you.
Question, I had befriended a guy on social media, and he seemed like he was a Christian, but on Halloween he exposed himself. He had told me he grew up as what he called a demon child in Portland, that he was used by his family as a medium, and that continued for years, and then he was institutionalized 7 times, even with the shackles and a straitjacket, because he was that dangerous. He said they used to practice all this demon worshiping stuff in his family, but supposedly he said he found Christ, but he scared the heck out of me. So I was wondering, do demons do they have to expose themselves on Halloween? I just think it was strange that he said this all to me on Halloween.
No,
I think
Fran.
the whole thing was strange, but especially Halloween.
Yeah, they don't have to expose themselves. And, this is a human being you're talking to on social media, so obviously they're not actually a demon. And if he were possessed by a demon, it would not have to expose itself on Halloween. So no, he probably just, if his story was true, we don't know if that's really true or not, but if it was true, Halloween is a time that is associated with, evil and decay and a bunch of stuff like witches and, werewolves and vampires and whatnot. Just the association may have taken his mind back to those days for him, and maybe he was thinking about it more and he just wanted to share with somebody. That would be my guess. But no, they don't need to show themselves. In fact, they want to stay hidden.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I deleted the social media account.
That's a good idea. And pray for him. I would just pray for him. It sounds like there might be, when you said institutionalized a few times, it sounds like there probably was a layer of a psychological disorder, would you say, Adam?
Oh, yeah. I mean, kind of by definition, there was something serious enough going on that they had to be hospitalized for a time. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, we need to be wise with social media and, just be cautious, and certainly be cautious always about giving out personal information, addresses and phone numbers and all of that.
Do you think that's wise for Fran to pray for him?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we always should pray for anybody. But that doesn't, that's just praying for them remotely, meaning I'm right. At home and
don't
I pray for them.
Don't get attached to them, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking about getting on video with them and praying for them or something. Just,
right.
You can intercede for him, but don't, Fran, and if this is causing you anxiety and troubling you, just, delete it and let it go and focus on the positive.
Okay, Fran?
Yeah, I deleted the account. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Happy New Year. Call us again. Okay, Fran's going to free that phone line, and for you to jump in, you still have time. 877-757-9424. 877-757-9424. And I do have to thank my husband, Marty. Marty's been helping me for a long time now while I'm having this compromised eyesight, and I just want to thank him so very much. He's watching everything for me, and so I'm using his eyes, Adam, and that's a good thing. But we're trying to live out our sacrament of matrimony here. So, okay, Adam, ready to go back to the phones?
Yes.
Tim, who do we have next?
From Austin, Texas, listening on the EWTN app, Sue.
Hello, Sue. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you all. This has been on my mind for a while. When you pray for people who have died, what happens if, for example, they did not choose God, or what happens if they're in hell and you're praying for them?
Right.
And
right.
Can they retaliate against you for those prayers?
No. No. You want me to go first, Adam?
Go ahead.
Yeah, we get this all the time in religious education, Sue. First of all, your prayers are never wasted. Never, ever, ever. So God applies those efforts in all the right places. God knows exactly where to place it. And that has come up. Like, let's say you think, and we don't know because God's mercy is amazing, and so we have no idea where somebody ends up. Right? That's for God and for that soul. But could they retaliate if they were damned to hell? I was always taught, and Adam, you have this experience with the exorcism work, so you tell me if I was trained the right way on this. No, they can't retaliate. That it's a whole separate. If they were separated from God, it's separate, so it's not going to affect your good intentions and your prayers. They are going to be applied on the positive side of things, maybe for yourself, maybe for other loved ones, maybe for other people in purgatory. We have no idea where God is going to apply them. However, but that's why I always tell people never stop praying for your loved ones who are deceased. Never. Just constantly remember them, because it's so important. If you want to address that, Adam, and correct anything I said, but then also, Adam, we may want to bring this up because, unfortunately, there are well-intentioned Catholics that think somehow they should pray for demons, and that's a no-no.
Yeah, so good question, Sue. It's an interesting question. Be at peace. Don't worry about that at all. My understanding of kind of the theology of hell is that they are utterly despaired of grace or God. That's right. In any way. They have utterly despaired of prayer. I don't think they're ever going to be aware that anybody's praying for them, because
they're
that's
totally
contrary to the nature of hell, which is a permanent separation from God. And so there would be no experience of the grace of prayer or the awareness of grace for them. Secondly, they're in hell. They're not reaching out from hell and affecting the world. Our understanding, as far as I understand it, is they are in hell and they stay there and they do not interact with the world anymore. So, it's not a pleasant thing to dwell on, and we shouldn't worry about it in terms of like sitting around thinking about it, but certainly don't be anxious about the damned souls. We can be very sad that they ended up in that situation, and we can be sad, but we can't pray them out of hell, right. And we certainly cannot pray the demons out of hell, and that's a deeper topic, but essentially they're never going to change their mind, they're never going to repent, because they had full knowledge of their choice when they made it. So we cannot pray them out of hell.
Right, and one more thing, don't assume that somebody is damned to hell just by the way they lived their life.
Right.
Don't do that. That's a mistake. And I think that's another trick by the demons to get us to forget about people that have lived really bad lives, in this world, because we should continue to pray for them. What do you say, Sue?
Oh, I agree with you guys. It was just something that was always on my mind. Like, well, I have a huge prayer list for the dead, and it's not necessarily just family. And I've just always wondered, like, well, what happens if they ended up in hell, and what happens when I pray for them? But anyway, I continue to pray for them as always. But thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll just full disclosure, let me share something, and I won't mention who the person is, but there is a rock and roll superstar back in the 90s. Every time I go to prayer, this person's name pops up in my head. And unfortunately, he didn't, because of the, he was out there in public, it didn't seem like he lived that, deep of a religious life. And so I've been praying for him. Because it keeps popping up in my prayers. And so we need to pray for those that have passed, that maybe they're in trouble and they need those additional prayers. Wouldn't you say, Adam? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Sue? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That happens to me, especially around the time of All Souls Day. I start creating my list. I add on to it every year. Every time I learn of someone who has passed away, I add them to the list.
Right.
But interestingly enough, there are names that'll pop into my head that I've known from decades ago I haven't thought about, all of a sudden popped into my head. And I said, okay, they must need prayers. So I add them to my list for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. What a great ministry you're doing. It's powerful, Sue. You're
it
awesome.
Feels like that. It feels like that to me, and I always laugh because when I have to go add the names to the pages at church, I mean, I have probably 200 names by now.
Wow.
And so I just print up the page and just tuck it in there because it's just too much to rewrite. But I love how we do that in our faith.
We never forget anybody. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Sue. Thank you so much. God bless you. And thank you for calling in. Adam?
Well, we have probably time for one more call if we're a little bit efficient. We've got about 2 minutes. So what do you think, Tim?
Yeah, we can go to John from Boston, Massachusetts, listening on the EWTN app.
Okay.
John, real quick.
Very brief. 1, 2, 3. 1, people, please support Catholic radio. Podcasts, all this costs money, and look at the benefits. Thank you for these recurring themes, Adam and Debbie, where, to avoid evil is actually crowding it out with the good. You said that basically before the break. And Debbie, I wanted to touch upon you specifically during EWTN's break when you were recorded talking about your 50-year-old nativity set. Mm-hmm. It spoke to me through, with a capital S, the Holy Spirit, that, the broken shepherd boy's arm and there's missing lambs, and it's so indicative of the church, and yet, you continue with the traditions. And we hope you find those sheep or replace them, and you did fix the shepherd boy's arm.
Thank you.
Blessings on your upcoming Operation Tuesday. I'm legally blind, so I thought it's a very important sense.
Oh, my goodness.
But I'd rather you talk about your nativity set and all within the... Yeah,
thank you.
To say.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much. What a beautiful call, and wow, what a great way to finish this open forum for the first one for January of 2025. I love the Spirit World listeners and supporters. I know we had Deacon Paul coming up next and others, and you guys are just so amazing. Adam, this is incredible. We are blessed.
Oh, totally. I wanted to say in a few seconds, it's been on my heart lately. Thank you, God, for these opportunities to interact with everybody around the world. We always pray that Jesus inspire us to say what he once said, and that everybody to hear what he wants you to hear and get out of it. And I continue to pray that. Please pray that for us and this project and all the Catholic media and Catholic radio. It's a super blessing. And you guys are holding us up in your prayers at the same time. So, yeah, it really is a big family, and let's continue to pray for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish we could get to more calls. I want to thank so very much Tim Mott, our senior producer. Great job, Tim, and your whole entire family that's there as backup. Thank you so much to the Mott family. Thank you, Libby. Thank you, Carol, being our call screeners today. Thank you to EWTN that carries this program live each and every Saturday. Thank you. You're doing such a great service for your listeners. You're giving them the opportunity to ask their questions. So many of us feel disconnected sometimes at our parish level because we belong to very big parishes. I belong to a mega parish. There's so many parishioners. I mean, I'm just one of many, and sometimes it's tough to get our questions answered, and that's why we're hoping to have this solid catechesis here on the Spirit World. Any final comments, Adam? And I got to tell you, Adam, I can't hold back. I got to tell our listeners what we've got planned for next week. But go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. That's good.
I'm so excited. Adam and I grouped all these questions that you guys have been asking on the Spirit World, and we are going to ask them rapid fire to, we believe, an expert in our Catholic world, a leader in our Catholic Church, Monsignor Charles Pope. Oh boy, does he answer. He's so great at how he answers questions about the faith. He is the host of The Quest here at Guadalupe Radio Network. He's also on Morning Joy, Mondays with Monsignor. And we love his blogs, everything that he writes. And he's on EWTN all the time. And so we get to spend the entire hour with him, asking him tons of questions. I'm going to ask him about mortal sin, venial sin. I'm asking everything, Adam.
Absolutely. It's going to be good. And so, yeah, again, everybody, please pray for Deb on Tuesday for her surgery. And I think we're going to hear the music in a few seconds, Deb. It was a great show.
Absolutely. There it goes, right on cue. Boy, Tim is spot on there. And we just want to thank everybody again. Like us on Facebook at the Spirit World Podcast. Again, you can always email us at tsw@grnonline.com. To the Spirit World listeners, please know that if you share this program, if you download the podcast, if you spread it to your family and friends, we can make this thing the biggest movement for 2025. So that's what we want to do. We want to journey together and to be confident in our faith, to be joy-filled, to be peaceful, all the things we want as Catholic Christians, okay? So that'll do it. For Adam Bly, I'm Debbie Georgiani. Until next Saturday, have a beautiful and blessed week. We'll see you real soon.